When dealing with sloped walls in Revit, you typically have to, well, you have to make the wall a wall by face and make it off of a mass. So you can either do what this is, where you make a mass inside of Revit using your massing in sight and mass in place tools, or you can actually, instead of importing CAD, when you bring in a Rhino file with a shape that you've made or any kind of CAD file, the best thing to do is not do this, but you would actually go to, you would actually make a new family and you would make a conceptual mass family. There's another video in the library here about bringing Rhino into Revit, and that follows these same steps, but all you would do is make this mass family, open it, and then you actually import the CAD into that mass and load that mass into your project, and then you can click on wall. So here, this is where you would actually, you have to take this added step of this is where you import the CAD, and then you save this mass family and load it into your project. So that's the best way to get in from Rhino or any other 3D program, because then you can actually, their CAD geometry is actually masses that you can just snap on and build walls right off of. Because if you don't do that and you just bring in the CAD, it's just line work and it does nothing. Or it does very little and you have to trace it very difficultly. So if you make the mass in Revit, that's almost the best option, because then you can update it. Obviously, if you spend a lot of time making the mass in Rhino, just use that. But here's what the issue truly is. So if I was making a wall by face and I wanted to do anything else to it, I can't. So if I wanted to click on this and say edit profile, I don't even get my little edit profile sign here. If I wanted to put an opening in it, it won't even let me select it. And if I put a window in it, it's going to be a little difficult to see. But that window is still going straight up and down, even though this wall is canted. So see how its bottom is sticking out and its top is buried in? It is not sloping with the wall. So if we wanted to add glass openings into this and edit this wall, how do we do that? Well, what you have to do is actually update the mass behind it, which is an added step that's a little bit of a pain, but once you get the hang of it, it's not that bad. So if we wanted to have a slot of glass in this wall, what we would do is go to the mass and say edit in place. We're going to set the work set to be this front face, or I'm sorry, the work plane to be this front plane. So it's the work set is now the work plane is now canted. And if I wanted to say I have a slot window right here, you can even use your dimensioning tools and make sure you're putting it right where you want it. So we can even, let's even say, we're 12 feet off the side. And you can use your tab and say, we're 20 feet wide. So you can be precise about this. So what we're going to do now is we're going to cut a hole out of this face, so it's more than one face. So I'm going to make a void form, which since I only have one other mass in here, it automatically cuts a hole in it. So that's now a hole in this wall. So if I wanted to now create, if I finish this, and I do wall by face, and I select this, I have a hole in my wall by face now. But let's say we wanted to fill it up with glass, because that's commonly what we're going to do. Undo that just so we can see better. I'm going to go back into my mass. Oops. And I'm going to click on the wrong stuff. Edit in place. Same thing, the work set should still be in the same location. And if it's not, we'll know in a second. I'm going to draw in another line here and create form. That's going to be a solid form. We'll push it back in like that. And so this is another face inside of this face. So now when we finish, we can say wall by face, this one. And now the trick is you cannot slope curtain wall. Curtain wall won't be happy, but the next best thing is you can slope curtain grid, which is basically curtain wall. So you select the face, which is this one. And then for the curtain wall, it's kind of like the roof, so you have to do the added click. You have to say create system. And there you go. And this one, this curtain grid system already has its properties assigned to it. So if I come into edit type, you can see it already has mullions assigned to it. It already has a distance. We can always change some of this around and say, well, first we would want to duplicate that. But you can always change the spacing in here and change the mullions. But, we can do maximum spacing so that we're closest to 6 feet. And now we're evenly spaced in there. So that's the basics of how to edit one of these walls. If you needed to edit the actual shape of the wall, what you have to do is change the shape of your mass, and then you have to update this to face, and it'll update. So that's how you have to make adjustments to these sloping walls. It's a little difficult because it's a workflow we were not used to with other pieces of software, but that's all that has to be done.